Hey there, welcome back to another August 365 Pay It Forward talk here at Life Coach University. And I'm Norma Frahn, and I'm a life and health coach for weight loss. And all this month, I'm sharing concepts from my Weight Loss Your Way coaching program. So if you're new to Life Coach University, we are a Pay It Forward platform, which means that the only cost for you to participate in any of our Pay It Forward talks is to promote, I'm sorry, is to promise to go out there and pay it forward with some act of kindness. I guess that's some promotion, right? So it can be anything at all that you want, but just going out there and just putting a little more kindness out into the world is going to make it a better place for all of us. So as a reminder, if you have any questions about the talk today or just weight loss your way in general, feel free to use the Q&A box in on this video. Just go to the bottom of your screen and just hover around there. The Q&A box will pop up. Just click on it, and then you'll have a space to enter your questions, and I'll be sure to answer them all at the end of the session. So today is day 18, and I'm going to talk about something that might make you want to cringe a little bit, and that's getting some more movement in your day. Now, notice I didn't say exercise. That was pretty intentional. You might have heard me say in other talks that language matters. Well, I don't like the word exercise. It's just my own little pet peeve, but exercise just sounds hard and miserable to me. So I like to call it movement. So I'll likely use exercise and movement interchangeably throughout this talk today. So I can't see anyone on this call, but if I were to ask, if you would raise your hand if you believe that exercise is required to lose weight, I bet almost everyone would have their hand in the air. I know I sure did. So, diet and exercise, that's what we've all been taught. They go hand in hand. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not exactly true and that exercise is not required to lose weight, but it is a choice. So I've worked with a lot of women who have lost a significant amount of weight without ever setting foot in a gym or doing any real exercise. And I have some that after they lost some weight, they decided that they were ready to add in some more movement. And yet others who came to me already regularly exercising continued to do that as they lost weight. But the commonality here is that they all lost weight. So, no, I don't believe exercise is required to lose weight. It wasn't always that way, though. And I remember all the way back to high school in the 1980s doing hours of aerobics with Jane Fonda, leotards and leg warmers and all. I tried running once. And for the record, I am not a runner. And to all of you runners out there, I tip my hat. I will never understand it, but I sure do admire you. So, the first time I heard exercise, though, wasn't required was from my own weight loss coach just a few years ago. I didn't believe it at first, but it was a little part of my brain that was actually relieved. And, because at that time in my life, I was schlepping off to the YMCA every morning, 5 days a week to swim. Now, I love to swim, but I had it in my head that it just wasn't worth going and doing unless I swam laps for a solid hour. And I did that most days because really the biggest reason why I did it, first, I believed it was required to lose weight. And second, that silly MyFitnessPal app that I was using was telling me I needed to do it to earn enough calories back so I could eat more food. But I'm sure it's no surprise. I never lost a pound during that time, and I didn't understand why. So hang on to that story. I'm going to come back to it in just a minute. But first, the next thing I want to debunk is the myth that you can't that you can overeat today or tonight at some event and then go to the gym for the rest of the week and work out hard to make up for it or to burn it off. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it just doesn't work that way. You can't outrun overeating with a bunch of exercise. Your body is going to process whatever you ate and in whatever quantity you ate it in exactly the same way it would process it if you hadn't overeaten. Exercise doesn't negate the digestive process and it doesn't balance things out. And whatever it does But the one thing that it does do is it's going to process that food as energy. And when we overeat, oftentimes it doesn't process completely. Instead, it slides right on over to be stored as fat cells or stored in our fat cells. And then to use later on, kind of like for a rainy day, especially if you're doing some really restrictive dieting and then all of a sudden you do a big dump of food, you have a big event you go to and you overeat, your body says, oh my gosh, here comes the food. I'm going to save it up because starvation is surely right around the corner. And that's when it kind of pushes it into the fat cells. So no amount of exercising is going to change that process. I guess that's my point here with this myth. And the other myth that I want to debunk is the idea that you can earn more food in the form of calories or points if you exercise. Now, I bought this one hook, line, and sinker. So remember the swimming story I told you I'd come back to? That silly app used to tell me, congratulations, you earned an extra 1,000 calories today. So on days that I didn't quite swim a full hour, I would actually lie to the Fitness Pal app. So it would bump up the time I spent swimming so that I could have the extra calories, which I usually spent on something sweet because I'd earned it. I actually believed that the jelly donut didn't count because I'd exercised. Now, how many of us have done that? Now, that certainly wasn't true, but at least it was something that I told myself to feel better about eating the jelly donut. That's what it really came down to. And all that app was doing was giving me permission to overeat. So, this is all diet culture stuff that we've been duped into believing, and it's just not true. And in fact, really, exercise could actually be physically harmful when we take it to the extreme. Now, don't get me wrong, exercise or movement in and of itself is one of the very best things you can do to have a healthy body. But exercise for the sole purpose of creating weight loss can lead you down a path or create a mindset that it has to be hard, grueling, and even punishing. And that's what I hope to change because I think that's how most of us who are working on weight loss think exercise is all about. Now, how we think about exercising so that it becomes something we want to do is really important. We should be doing it because we want to do it and because we love it. Now, this might sound a little bit familiar. Same thing with how we choose to eat and what we choose to think about certain foods. Just like we talked about earlier in some previous discussions, that there's some foods that we really don't like, but we're eating them because we think we have to lose weight. Same thing with exercise. There's so many of us that are still thinking that we have to do the exercise to lose weight, and we don't love it, and we oftentimes don't want to do it. But that's what I want to change. I want to change how we're thinking about it. So here's how I think about it today. First, like I said, I like the word movement. To me, that just feels kinder and gentler. I no longer move my body for the sole purpose of creating weight loss. I do it now because it feels good to me. It took a while for my brain to kind of unwind all of those misguided beliefs. But when I truly embraced movement as self care or something I do just because it makes me feel good, everything changed. Now, I was never an exerciser or enjoyed the gym. I know now that was because how I was attaching it to weight loss and all of my just terrible thinking about how I didn't belong there because of my weight. But I wanted to be someone who moved her body every day. So I got to work on figuring out how to do it. And I realized movement was going to be a process, just like weight loss. And I could do it my way. So I started small, just like I've talked about from the beginning, small baby steps. I could walk, so I took a walk, literally only 10 minutes at a time. And when I walked, I tried to make it relaxing. I listened to podcasts or I just enjoyed the quiet. I started to look forward to my little walks and eventually started to increase the time. I got up to 30 minutes or longer sometimes just because it felt so good to be walking and not have any of the pressure of the day with me. And I think this was happening because I was thinking about movement so much differently. It was becoming kind of my time to decompress, to think, my alone time, even if it was just for a few minutes. It started to become really important to me. Then I started to get a little curious, like what else could I try? The gym just wasn't appealing to me, and I didn't care for the idea of a class or anything of that sort. Fitting that into my already full day felt really stressful. So I recognized that and didn't try to go down that path quite yet. So I started to think about what I could do at home. So at that time, we had tons of exercise equipment, both from like all of my past purchases and a lot from my son's rehab following his accident. So I started to try out a few things around strength training. And I liked some of it, but it didn't feel quite as good as my walks did. And then I saw an advertisement for, I think it was Beachbody's 3 week yoga retreat. And I thought, that looks interesting. Maybe I could do that. Now, mind you, I was one of those people that never thought I could do yoga because I was overweight and I wasn't flexible. But this ad featured people kind of all sizes and touted that anybody could do it. And it kind of looked fun. So I gave it a shot, bought the program, and literally have never turned back. Now, as it turns out, yoga was the very thing I was looking for. It checked every box for me. I could, in fact, practice yoga with a good instructor that teaches how to make it accessible to any body size, and I could learn at my own pace in the comfort of my own home. And all it required was a mat, a couple of blocks, and a nylon strap. So I was in love by the end of the first week, and I haven't turned back since. I practiced and still practiced almost every day now for the last 3 years. The strength and the flexibility I've built in my body is amazing. And no matter what's going on in my life, I always feel relaxed. So sorry about that. I always feel relaxed and ready to focus. All right. So my first recommendation, if you want to incorporate more movement into your day, is to do it because you want to, not because you think you have to. It's just like how we approach food, like I said earlier. I want you to eat food that you enjoy and that's good for your body, rather than eating something just because you think you have to in order to lose weight. Same thing with exercise. Then find a form of movement that you love doing. Don't rule out things that you've never tried. Just like me in the yoga, I never would have believed that I would become someone who is a yoga practitioner, but I am now. Figure out how you like to get your movement in. Is it solo, like me, or do you prefer the company of a group? Maybe a class is your thing. Maybe you love the gym, but you're worried about what other people will think. If that's the case, then do some work on that in your journal. That very thought could be the one that's holding you back. Because you know what? What's really going on, people don't care. They're there for themselves, just like you. So don't hold yourself back. Get in there and you do you. I promise with that mindset, it will be so much easier. So my point is find something you really truly enjoy doing. Don't be afraid to try a bunch of different things. Movement can be as simple as running around the yard or having a dance party with your kids. It doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be complex. In fact, I think it has to be fun in the sense that it makes you happy and wanting to do it. That's what makes movement enjoyable and keeps you coming back. So I'll close with this. So recently, I made a purchase for no other reason than it looked fun. And you've heard this comment all the time. TikTok made me buy it. Have you seen those crazy weighted hula hoop belts on TikTok? It's like a big plastic kind of bulky belt that you attach to your waist, and it has this weighted ball on a string, and you basically use your waist and your hips to make the ball swing around the belt. It really is the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen, but it is so fun. There's a learning curve for sure. but it is a workout once you get it. And I don't think I've ever laughed so hard exercising. And that's what it's all about, getting joy from moving your body. So that's what I found, and that's what I want you to find as you're thinking about how to get more movement into your life. All right, let's see what we've got for some Q&A. Let me just move this over for a second. All right, the first comment is, I've been taught the only way to lose weight is diet plus exercise plus eating less. I probably read that wrong. Diet plus eating less plus exercise. Yeah, we've all been taught that. We've all been taught that. Um, and certainly there is mathematically, there's lots of evidence that there is some truth to that, probably, that you have to burn more than you consume. I think the jury's still out on that. I've seen it myself. I have a very dear friend of mine who, at her highest weight, was wanting to lose about 150 pounds, and she had a disability and couldn't do much of the exercise that we all kind of know to be the thing that we all turn to, like the gym or walking and all this stuff. And that prevented her from that. But she found chair yoga, and she did that, and she found that it felt really good in her body and it helped her. And she still lost a ton of weight. She lost 150 pounds doing chair yoga. So it kind of debunks that myth that exercise has to be hard and grueling and an hour on the treadmill and all that craziness. But yes, you're right. We have all been taught that. But like I said, I have seen it over and over again. I've seen it myself. I didn't do any exercise, zero, for the first 50 or 60 pounds that I lost. I was just focused on changing how I was eating and learning how to eat in a way that made sense for my body. And then once I had that down, I felt like I could move to the movement piece. Someone says, yeah, they remember Jane Fonda. Yep, that was great. The big striped leg warmers and leotards and headbands, all good stuff. Let's see. Maybe that's an episode we should do one day, is um, the different decades and all the great diet and exercise gurus that came out of all those different decades. All right. Let's see. Someone else says, since becoming a mom, my exercise has become dancing in the kitchen. It's free. Absolutely. I can do it anytime and I don't need a babysitter. Absolutely. That is the best. Love it. Someone else says, I never thought I could be a dancer. Saw a poster for movement medicine and it's all about free body movement. I felt like a dancer for the first time. It was so freeing. Oh, that is so wonderful. Oh, that's kind of how I felt about yoga. I never thought I could do it, but as I did it and as I got stronger and started to build up those muscles and learn the form and the pose, I'm doing things that this 54-year-old body should never be able to do, or at least that's what I thought. It is amazing, and you're right, it is so, so freeing. Let's see. Yeah, someone else says too, I like your approach of movement instead of exercising. That just feels so much better to me. Because exercising feels like a chore, almost like a punishment, because that's how I viewed it for so long. Movement just feels a little more natural, like I said, kind of kinder and gentler. Um, Couple of things I hear quite often. Some people oftentimes will ask, is it true that muscle weighs more than fat? Well, actually, no. I don't believe it is. A pound is a pound, or a kilo is a kilo. A pound of feathers is the same as a pound of lead. The difference is volume. Think about a bag filled up with enough feathers to weigh a full pound and how much space that would take up. It would really be a pretty decent sized bag. And a pound of lead you could put in the palm of your hand. That's kind of how I try to look at fat versus muscle. A pound of fat takes up way more volume in your body, whereas a pound of muscle is much denser and leaner and takes up less space in your body. So be careful of that mental trap when you're thinking about exercise. Let's see. Yeah, exercise, the word exercise, I would agree with this comment, sometimes seems to give off like this image of muscle and weights and striving for a specific body image. Totally agree. And I think, again, think about social media and what you follow and what you see oftentimes influences that and we don't even know it. Like the things that drive me crazy are the before and after pictures in the gym locker room, and then this big story about how, do these weights and all this. It just leads people down a path, I think, mentally, if you're not looking objectively at these things, to be that you must do these really hard things to create this specific body image. Yeah, totally agree there. Often too, I get this. Why do I feel sore after exercising? Well, this is not my area of expertise, but as I understand it, your muscles actually kind of tear when you work them, which causes the soreness. And the repair process does require time, and it's an important part of building that lean muscle mass. It also requires lots of water. Your body will direct water to the muscles when they're repairing, and the muscles will kind of fill up with that water. So you can really help the process along by drinking lots of water after a difficult workout or if you're feeling sore. Now, don't overwork those muscles while they prepare. That's why a lot of experts do recommend that you alternate between like a cardio exercise, like maybe walking, and a strength exercise like lifting weights. Don't overwork those muscle groups. You often hear people say, well, today is leg day and today is arm day. That's actually a good thing because it's giving the muscles worked the previous day a rest while you work another part of your body. So just as part of kind of listening to your body, pay attention to what's sore and make sure you're getting the water in to help make that process move a little quicker. Um, so someone says, is 10 minutes of walking really enough? Here's where I'd ask you to kind of challenge yourself on what the definition of enough is for you. If you believe, like I once did, that exercise meant like really something hard and it had to be 60 minutes every day, that was just the number I had in my head, for it to be worth it, then you'll probably rarely ever believe that what you're doing is enough. It's darn hard to commit to an hour every single day in the best of circumstances. So if you can do it and you love it, I am thrilled for you. But if it's just isn't realistic for you in your life, you'll likely quit it altogether. And that's the last thing I want to happen. So, to kind of answer the question, yes, I do believe 10 minutes of walking is absolutely enough and should be celebrated because 10 minutes of movement is way more than no movement. And your body will thank you. All right. And then I think we got the last one here. Someone says, I'd rather work out at home, but I don't want to spend money on programs and things that I don't have to. Well, the good news is you don't have to spend a lot of money. And because there are so many free resources out there, go to YouTube and search for the kind of movement you're interested in. Maybe it is yoga. There are thousands of experts that post really good free videos all the time for every level from beginner to expert. And I think you'd be hard pressed to not find exactly what you're looking for. There's also a lot of free apps for home workouts. My current favorite is Fit On, and you've probably seen some ads for them. They're all over. They have tons and tons of different types of movement and training that you can do. Things like yoga, which is why I'm using them. They do. I haven't done them yet, but they offer some cardio classes, Pilates, strength training, tons of different things, and it's completely free. They do have a paid version, but this is the one app that I found that offers a really, really extensive library of free at home exercises. Again, it's called Fit On, Fiton. Another one that I would recommend because it's the one I started with is Beachbody. They have a variety of great home workouts. I believe their app is on demand and has a fee attached to it. I think it's something like $10 a month. But just be careful with the paid apps. Many of them will try to sell you different shakes and protein powders. I personally just kind of ignore all that and stay focused on the thing that I came there for. All right, let me just give one more quick check. Oh, okay. Someone says, for me, getting out of the house for 1 minute is super easy, and then going for a walk is added on. But if I say I need to go for a walk for an hour, my brain shouts, no way. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. So and I really struggled with this in the beginning too, but so that's why I started small with the 10 minutes. Yeah, I can go do 10 minutes. That's no big deal. And it really wasn't. And it was actually kind of easy to start moving it up because when I took that pressure off myself, thinking that I had to walk for an hour or it wasn't worth it, it just became something I wanted to do versus like a chore. That's kind of how it felt. All right. Someone else says I started walking every day to save money. One way I could walk and then come back on the bus or train. Yeah, another great example. I live in a very rural area, so my biggest problem with walking, I wouldn't do it first thing in the morning a lot of times because of the critters. I mean, literally, there's no neighbors around me. It's very very country here. But if you live in a city or a bigger town that has these things, it's a great way to do it. Just put your shoes on and just walk until you're tired, and then hop on the bus or the train to come on back. There's so many ways to make it fun, make it enjoyable, and still kind of challenge yourself. So there's just so many ways to make movement part of your life and not, like I said, like a chore. So all right, I hope this was helpful today. I've got a lot of great comments. I really appreciate that. So just a reminder, please think about how you're going to pay it forward today. And also, I do want to give one more mention to what we've got coming up in September at Life Coach University, and that is the Giving Week, September 19th. We have 5 coaches, each offering a different 5-day course. So I think there's something for everybody there. The cost is $20 for the course, and a portion of those proceeds are going to go directly to a charity of the coach's choice. So you can head on over to lifecoachuniversity.com/ the giving week. Sorry about that. Or just go to the main page and you'll see the menu item to go there. And then you can read all about what's being offered by the various coaches and pick as many as you want to join. So have a beautiful day, everybody. And don't forget, go out and pay it forward. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.